G'day, my name's Brendan and welcome back to another episode of On Point Adventures. What if I was to tell you that sinkers aren't just sinkers? What if I was to tell you there wasn't just one type of sinker that does everything, and I was going to run you through the ultimate sinker guide for surf fishing in Western Australia? That's what this video is all about. Let's get into it. Right, let's get into it. So up and down the West Australian coast, we deal with so many different types of beaches, scenarios, environments when we're surf fishing. So it's very important you have the right sinker for the job. Now, one thing you're going to notice in this video is one of the most popular sinkers we see on the internet today is not going to feature in the video, and I'm going to explain why at the end. Let's get into it. So first thing you're going to see is we've got two sinker sacks here. Okay, the sinker sacks are just a really easy way to, I guess, carry your sinkers around without them going everywhere. I use the large sinker sack here for my grapnel sinkers and so forth, and then I'm using the smaller sinker sack here for all my star sinkers, spoons and so forth. It's not a promotion at all because I'm not affiliated with Vex at all. It's literally just, I found these the best way to carry sinkers. They are bloody good, they're tough as well. So let's get into grapnel sinkers. Now, grapnel sinkers are probably going to be the most popular sinker you're going to see surf fishermen using up and down the beach. But what if I was to tell you there was three main types that do completely different things at all times? Yes. Have you ever been down a beach where the fish is hitting, you strike, and then all of a sudden, unfortunately, because the grapnel sinker has released its legs, you're down and out, and you got to reel it in, reset your bait because your bait is now no longer holding? Well, that's where the first one comes in, and this one here is the most unpopular grapnel sinker on the market by far, and I don't know why, because it is supreme. It is the weed eater. So the weed eater here is essentially a teardrop style sinker, but what they use are these nylon feet. Now, these nylon feet hook into that sand really well, but what they do is when you strike, they bend backwards like that, and then they flick straight back up. Now, why is this good? As I just said, how many times have we struck at the fish and the legs of the grapnel sinker have given way and then you're finished? You've got to reel that bait in and start again. The weed eater means this doesn't happen. Now, this is essentially good for drone fishing as well, because you can cast these on top of reef and these aren't going to dig in. They're pretty good, okay? You'll also notice on top of these particular weed eaters that you've got the hook keeper there for longer casts, and you've got a swivel on top. Now, whether or not you use that swivel, that's completely up to you. But guys, the weed eater is a sinker that I think everyone should have in their tackle box, and that's number one. Number two, this is my favorite sinker that I've just found. This is a standard grapnel sinker, but as you can see here, we've got Lumo on it. Now, I like Lumo for one or two reasons. Sure, it's a fish attractant, and that's reason one. But second of all, when you've charged that up in your headlamp and you cast it out, not only do you get a really accurate representation of where that bait's landed at night, but when this is coming back in through the surf, you can see that glowing and get ready for that fish. Right, the other good thing you'll see on these is they've got a fairly long arm, and with my grapnel sinkers, I really like a fairly long arm for casting, because what I feel it does is it keeps it flatter in the sand. Keep that long arm in mind because we're going to be touching back on that in a second. The good thing with these style grapnel sinkers is you're going to see that you've got your grooves for your legs to sit in. So all we do, bend them up, okay, just click them in, and your grapnel sinker is now fishing. Now, you can adjust these arms however you want. You can bend them out, bend them in, however you want, you adjust them. But the best thing about these is that they don't get clogged up with sand, which I'm going to touch on last with the sinker that I was talking about. So there's the second type, a Lumo grapnel. Now, you're going to notice all my sinkers are also 6 ounce as well, because they're the sinkers that I use most of. Now, this grapnel is one that I reckon a lot of you haven't seen, but certainly has its place. The super long arm grapnel, very similar to the last Lumo one, except it has got this monstrous arm here. Why do you want that monstrous arm? This monstrous arm, when that surf is cranking, enables your bait to sit a lot flatter. your sinker to sit a lot flatter, which means in that huge surf, it's not as prone to lifting up and out. So as you can see there, short sinker means quicker leverage. Longer arm means that it's laying flatter in the sand before it goes. But you'll also notice that a lot of the weight in that sinker is right down the base, okay, in the last 1/3 of the sinker, and it's very narrow up here, and that's to keep a lot of the weight on these prongs. The other thing you're going to notice about these sinkers that I'm using is the prong diameter is very thick. Now that is super, super important because it holds so much better. They're not prone to flex and to pulling out. They sink, they set, they do a job. Now, we've touched on grapnels. What about the old faithful star sinker? We like using star sinkers when the surf's down a little bit. There's not so much current, but you still need that small bit of hold. Now, because of the shape of a star sinker, they're not prone to rolling in the surf so much, okay? They come down, they sit nice and flat, and then as that pulls, you can see these two front leading edges sort of sink in, okay? Now, they work their way deeper into the sand because of the tapered back end. It allows them to flip up and just dig, 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 dig. That's the advantage of the star sinker. So you use your star sinkers, as I said, in lower surf conditions, but where you still want a bit of hold. Then we have a spoon sinker. Now, spoon sinkers are going to be predominantly used when the surf is low, you've got not much current, but maybe you're fishing over the back edge of a reef. But why does that make sense when there's reef in front of you? Because a spoon sinker naturally on the retrieve comes up and acts like a bib and coasts up to the surface and manages to skim along really, really nicely. Spoon sinkers, I think, are a fantastic addition. I don't use them a huge amount, but I've always got a couple sitting in these sinker sacks ready to go. Now, there was one sinker that I said that I didn't mention, and it's for good reason. The Gemini sinkers are probably the most popular grapnel sinker on the market. Why? I'm not sure. The problem I have with Gemini, whilst they're a fantastic product and fairly well built, is there's a lot of moving parts. So the bottom of the grapnel sinker literally screws on and screws off. But the most problematic thing I found with Gemini, which was very, very annoying to me, was the fact that in the grooves of the sinker where you clip the legs up and in, they fill up with sand. So you're sitting there banging them on your rod holder, or I've even seen some anglers having to carry a cup or a bucket of water, so they have to dip them in to clear them out, and away you go. Guys, Gemini is a brilliant, brilliant system. I'm not doubting them. I'm just saying they're a pain in the ass compared to some of these more traditional style grapnel sinkers. No moving parts, which means nothing can break on these. And they just do a terrific job. Guys, there is a quick sinker rundown. There is another sinker that is, I guess, revolutionary in itself, which deserves a video all by itself, which is coming up. And I'm going to tell you now, it's kind of an all-in-one casting system with even an inbuilt burley system. Yeah, that's right, inbuilt burley system, which should get you slightly intrigued. But as I said, that's going to be coming up in coming weeks. But this was to pretty much run you through the basic ins and outs of standard sinkers that you're going to find in the shops. Now, all these sinkers are available in almost every shop. Go to a specialty fishing store, something like your Getaway Outdoors or Tackle West or something like that, that actually specialise in more specialty gear, because those guys are the ones that are going to have a lot more of a range and better sinkers. Anyway, guys, there's my sinker comparison for you, and I hope this really gets you ready to gear up for the upcoming winter, because as you can see behind me, that's rank water. We've got wind, we've got swell, which means gutters are going to start forming. I honestly can't wait. All right, guys, until the next episode, I hope this was helpful, and we'll see you on the next one. Catch you later.